My childhood best friend accused me of SA and ruined my life. Now, I decided to take my revenge and ruin her life just like she ruined mine. I met Emma when we were just kids, back when scraped knees and stolen cookies were the biggest problems in the world. We lived on the same street, rode the same bus to school, and spent almost every day together. If I wasn't at her house, she was at mine. She was my best friend, the person I could tell anything to. And she felt the same way about me. I still remember the night she lost her older brother. She was 9, I was 10. He had been sick for months, but nothing prepares you for the moment someone is actually gone. I sat beside her on her porch as she cried, her small fingers gripping my wrist like she'd drown if she let go. "I don't have a brother anymore," she whispered. I didn't know what to say. I just held her hand. Then she looked at me, eyes swollen and red. "You're like my brother now, Greg." It was a big deal, hearing her say that. Even at 10, I knew it meant something important. And for years, we were inseparable. Until we weren't. By the time we got to high school, something started to change. I don't know when it happened, but at some point, I started seeing Emma as more than just my best friend. I noticed the way she laughed when she was nervous, the way she twirled her hair when she was thinking about something too deeply. Somewhere between childhood and growing up, I fell for her. So, in our sophomore year, I finally worked up the courage to ask her out. It wasn't anything fancy. Just the two of us sitting on the bleachers after school, our backpacks tossed to the side. My heart felt like it was about to hammer out of my chest, but I managed to get the words out. "Emma, I like you. Like you." And I was wondering if... She cut me off with a laugh. A short, sharp one that made my stomach drop. "Don't be silly, Greg." She rolled her eyes, completely unfazed. "We're best friends. It would be weird." I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that. The conversation ended there. And for weeks, things were awkward. At least for me. Emma acted like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just put my heart in her hands and watched her chuck it across the field. I did my best to move on, but it was hard, especially since I still had to play the role of a best friend to her, going to the movies, pulling up to her house every other day and welcoming her into mine, and being by her side after class. I had to suppress my feelings though, and finally it all started to fade. I started to maybe see her as a friend again. Then, I met Anne. She was a junior, smart, funny, and actually interested in me. And when we started dating, something between Emma and me shifted. She started pulling away. No more impromptu movie nights. No more texts about the most random things. She still hung out with me, but it was different. Colder. I ignored it. What else was I supposed to do? But then, on the last day of high school, she did something I never saw coming. She made a move. The music was loud, the bass thrumming through the walls of the nearly empty classroom we'd ducked into. The party was in full swing outside, graduation in the air, and I was riding high on the fact that life was finally moving forward. And then Emma had grabbed my wrist and pulled me away from all the loud, exhilarating music and vibes, and into the bathroom. I was no stranger to being alone with her, and I figured what she had to tell me was important. "We've had moments like these before. Greg, I think I love you," she said as soon as we got into a secluded stall. For a second, I thought I misheard her. I let out a short laugh, waiting for her to say she was joking. But she just stared at me, dead serious. "Emma, what?" "I should have said yes," she murmured, stepping closer. "When you asked me out. I was stupid, Greg. We belong together. You know that." Her fingers trailed up my arm, slow and deliberate. I took a step back. "I have a girlfriend." She smiled like I'd just told her a joke. "She doesn't have to know, and I know it's not that serious. It's not like what we have, you and me." Before I could react, she reached for the hem of her dress, sliding the strap off her shoulder. "Emma, stop." She didn't. "Emma." My voice was sharp now, cutting through the hazy air between us. I grabbed her wrist, not hard, just enough to stop her. I said no. That did it. Her entire expression twisted, morphing into something ugly. Her lips pressed into a thin line, her nostrils flared, and then, without another word, she yanked herself free and stormed out of the bathroom. I ran a hand through my hair, exhaling. What the hell was that? I shook it off and returned back to the bubbly party. Whatever it was, I wasn't gonna let it ruin my night. I had no idea that my life had just ended. I was on my third drink when the cops showed up. The music cut off. People started whispering. And then I saw her. Emma's mom. She was sobbing, pushing against the officers trying to hold her back. When she spotted me, Her face contorted with so much hatred it sent a chill down my spine. "You monster!" she screamed. "How could you do that to my daughter?" The words barely registered before the cops grabbed me. "Gregory Hall?" one of them asked. "You're under arrest." I could barely breathe. "For what?" The answer hit me like a train. "Sexual assault." I don't remember much after that. Just flashes. Handcuffs snapping around my wrists. People gasping. My parents arriving, my mother's face pale as a ghost. And Emma, standing behind her mother, crying. I screamed that it wasn't true. That I would never do something like that. But the cops weren't listening. Nobody was. Even my own parents looked at me like I was a stranger. 6 months. That's how long they threw me in juvie. That's how long I sat in a cell, losing everything. And when I got out, I was branded for life. A registered sex offender. My parents told me I couldn't stay. They couldn't handle the shame. I had no job. No home. I didn't go back to Anna either. I tried to reach out to her, clarify things, but on a second thought, it didn't feel worth it to burden her with my new ruined life. She probably believed the story anyways. Walking past her in the supermarket told me everything I needed to know. She sped up her pace and immediately left the mall when I called her name. Though that didn't surprise me, it still hurt me that Anna didn't believe me. Emma had destroyed me. 5 years. That's how long it had been since Emma took everything from me. 5 years of being branded a predator. 5 years of being forced to live in the shadows while she thrived. At first, I was barely scraping by, sleeping in motels, doing odd jobs for cash, anything to survive. No one in the States would hire a registered sex offender, no matter how many times I screamed my innocence. Applying for a college was hell with my record, so after a few tries, I just stuck to YouTube and online courses, teaching myself cybersecurity and ethical hacking, and being that I had no friends, and no social life, I had as much time as I could to devote myself to the craft. But luck finally swung my way. A Chinese-based cybersecurity firm hired me. They didn't care about my record. They just wanted my skills. And I had plenty of those. With time, I built myself back up. I started investing in stocks, crypto, anything that could give me a comfortable cushion. And it worked. My bank account grew, my life stabilized. But I never forgot what she did to me. And I never let her out of my sight. Emma had become somebody over the years. She'd graduated from college and built a name for herself as a public speaker, one of those women empowerment types who spoke about overcoming trauma. The irony made me sick. She had thousands of followers, a growing fan base, and was even eyeing a government job. It was the perfect time to destroy her. I spent weeks preparing, waiting for the right moment. Then, one night, I pulled the trigger. It started with a simple hack. One by one, I took control of all her social media accounts, her Instagram, her Twitter, even her LinkedIn. Then I sent her a message. $70,000. That's the price to get your accounts back. Send it in Bitcoin. You have 48 hours. She folded in less than 6. It was the exact amount of her life savings, and I knew this because I also hacked into her savings accounts using a phishing link to get her ID and password. The desperation was almost sad. Almost. But I wasn't done. I used the money to buy $70,000 worth of toilet paper. The manufacturing warehouse would have been suspicious, but I created a fake company who retailed it, and got the permit to ship. Then I shipped it, all of it, to her mother's house. But not before dousing every last roll in water so it was nothing but soggy, useless pulp by the time it arrived, making it unreturnable. Her mother lost her mind. Emma tried reaching out to me, the hacker, but I didn't respond. I didn't give her back her accounts. And she was about to have bigger problems. And over the next month, I made sure the world saw a very different side of Emma. She became a full-blown racist. A homophobe. A monster. One by one, I posted disgusting comments under her name. On news articles, influencer pages, even LGBTQ+ charities. These weren't full-on crazy articles or posts either. I timed them well, made it seem human and Emma enough, that anyone that didn't know her personally would never guess it wasn't her. People lost it. Her followers turned on her. The place she was entering it fired her on the spot. Her boyfriend dumped her. She tried to explain. She made new accounts to tell people she'd been hacked. But I found them. And I blocked them. Every single one. Nobody believed her. Nobody listened. For 5 years, I lived in the shadows because of her. Now, she was joining me. Forever.